This one's about enterprise architecture and legacy systems and comes from a couple of questions from Lloyd and from Jasik. The crucial point here that we need to get over is that enterprise architecture is not only about the new, but about what we've got already and working with what we have. We rarely work on a pure greenfield site, a site where there's nothing existing. We have to think also about what already exists. So Lloyd asks about legacy systems and life cycles, and Jasik talked about time and life cycles, so they're quite closely related. Lloyd was talking about CEOs and so on are feeling the pinch as to disruption, legacy systems investment and the onslaught of apps and sandblasting their existing core business. Whereas we also need to look at how the life cycles, about how the late end is still important, the late end of life. There's a useful frame here that one is Simon Wardley's idea of life cycle versus technology diffusion, but it's useful to think in terms of the classic 5-step technology life cycle, technology diffusion. We talk about innovator, early adopter, early majority, late majority, and laggard. Or another way of looking at it, which Simon Wardley preferred, was pioneer, settler, and town planner, to which I added the two of exploiter and stayer. Now, an innovator is someone who's creating new ideas. That's a greenfield site. An early adopter is making that new idea usable. But by the time we get to the early majority, we're in context of what already exists. And what we're adding has to work with what already exists. By the time we're talking about the late majority, they're focused mostly on exploiting, making use of what already exists, and anything new is going to be a disruption. And a stayer or a laggard is someone who is using old technology, but probably in very useful ways. An analogy I tend to think of is people at the Rare Breeds Trust, who are keeping old bloodlines going. Well, there are whole technologies that are very old technologies that are still very useful today. Think of COBOL, programming language, still being used in banking, or even things like core memory, the old magnetic core memory, that's still being used in very old military systems because it isn't affected at all by electromagnetic pulses. So the late end, the last part, is still very important. And in a sense, a lot of the late people are actually innovators in their own right and can give us crucial ideas for something new. A lot of technology life cycles consist of repeating again what already worked in the past. So when we're looking at an enterprise architecture, we need to take into account the legacy systems that already exist and the reasons why they're there, and not view them simply as something to ignore or to reject. There's a lot we can learn from old systems, particularly if we take this clear understanding about what is an innovator and what innovator does, what is an early adopter, making it real. An early majority wants to have step-by-step instructions. They want to start exploiting it. The late majority are focused only on exploiting what already exists and don't like the disruption that occurs when anything new is introduced. And the laggards, the stayers, are the people who keep the old technology going, keep the lights on in ways that we probably don't even notice, and we need to. So look at enterprise architecture as part of a whole, looking at whole of life cycles, looking at legacy systems and seeing how we can work with them rather than ignore them.